Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your life is spent trying to please others? Maybe not consciously, but the effort to gain others' approval often drives our choices, from the smallest decisions to the most important ones. What if you could reclaim that time and redirect it toward living more authentically? Think about something simple: posting a photo on social media and then spending the day checking notifications, likes, comments, shares. It all seems to validate who we are, but in reality, we're dancing like puppets, controlled by the invisible strings of other people's expectations. These strings control us so subtly that we often don't even realize it. Now, imagine cutting those strings and finally dancing to your own rhythm. Carl Jung, with his analysis of the persona, and Alfred Adler, with his ideas on courage and acceptance, offer us paths to understanding why we seek external validation so much. They show us that emotional freedom begins when we confront who we truly are and stop living to please others. Here you'll uncover what's behind this behavior, the impact of living to please, and how to find a path to authenticity and freedom. If the quest for approval takes so much from us, why is it so hard to let go of it? The answer lies in the invisible traps that external validation creates throughout our lives. From a young age, we're conditioned to associate our worth with others' acceptance. Good grades in school earn praise and rewards, while mistakes are punished or ridiculed. This pattern teaches us, even in childhood, that pleasing others is the key to being accepted, a lesson we carry into adulthood like an emotional anchor. Seeking approval is like running on a treadmill. You push harder, move faster, but never actually get anywhere. It feels productive, but deep down, it's an exhausting cycle that keeps us stuck in the same place. Worse still, the need for validation often stifles our authenticity. Think of a work meeting. You have an idea, but hesitate to share it. What if people think it's silly? The fear of judgment paralyzes you. The result: the idea stays in your head, and you feel trapped between the desire to express yourself and the need for approval. Carl Jung explains that over time, we create a persona, a social mask we shape to please others. The problem arises when we forget that this mask is not who we truly are. The relentless pursuit of validation forces us to wear this persona to the point where we lose touch with our essence. We become prisoners of a collective expectation we never chose but follow without question. How many opportunities have you let slip by because you were more concerned about pleasing others than being honest with yourself? How many times have you sacrificed your authenticity out of fear of not being accepted? These questions make us reflect on the emotional toll of depending on others' approval. After all, living to please others is a burden far too heavy to carry. Why do we crave others' acceptance so much? This need, far from being just a social whim, is deeply rooted in our evolution. Back when our ancestors lived in tribes, belonging to a group meant survival. Those who were excluded faced greater dangers, such as predators or resource scarcity. Acceptance, therefore, became a matter of life or death, an instinct we still carry with us today. However, the modern world no longer operates like a prehistoric tribe. Even so, we continue to respond to this need for belonging as if our survival depended on it. That's why we often avoid expressing controversial opinions or confronting situations that might isolate us, like staying silent during a work meeting for fear of displeasing others. The cost of this silence, authenticity, is sacrificed to ensure we remain part of a group. Alfred Adler, the renowned Austrian psychologist and one of the pioneers of modern psychology, dedicated his career to exploring how human relationships shape our personalities. He argued that the need to belong is a fundamental driving force, but individual growth must take priority. For Adler, the courage to be imperfect, to accept that not everyone will like us, is essential for achieving true emotional freedom. Carl Jung adds to this perspective by asserting that individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, is only possible when we stop being tethered to others' expectations. And here arises a crucial question. Do you really need approval to be happy? Or are you simply clinging to a tribal need that no longer makes sense? Recognizing that this drive is a relic of the past can be liberating. After all, what was once essential for our physical survival has now often become a barrier to our emotional freedom. How many of the choices we make each day are truly our own? Sometimes, we don't even realize we're following patterns imposed by society. as if we're bound by an invisible manual on how to live. These unspoken rules shape everything from what we wear to how we define success, creating an illusion of freedom while we follow paths already laid out by others. Think about fashion. Who decides what's in style? Is it really your personal taste? Or is it a social norm dictating what you should wear to be accepted? Or consider the pressure to reach certain life milestones, like getting married or having children by a specific age. How many people make these decisions because they genuinely want to? And how many do it to avoid judgment? Social media amplifies these invisible expectations, turning the need to showcase a perfect life into an almost mandatory standard. These social norms act like rails, guiding us without us realizing it. It's easy to go along with them because, in a way, there's comfort in following what's already accepted by everyone. But at the same time, they can become invisible bars, limiting choices that could reflect our truest desires. When you live solely to meet these rules, you end up giving away a part of your autonomy. So, how do we break free from this influence? The first step is to ask yourself, why do I do what I do? Who is really in control of my decisions? Recognizing the existence of these invisible rules is essential to regaining control of your life. It's not about ignoring society, but about making conscious choices, following certain norms when they align with you and rejecting them when they don't make sense. How many times have you avoided making a decision out of fear of being judged? Whether it's changing careers, disagreeing with someone, or simply saying no, the fear of displeasing others can feel overwhelming. After all, we've been conditioned to believe that acceptance is vital to our well-being. But true freedom begins when you accept that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Imagine someone who decides to leave a stable career to follow their passion, fully aware they'll face criticism and disapproval. Perhaps their family questions their sanity, friends doubt their chances of success, and colleagues see it as a mistake. This is where the courage to displease comes into play. When you prioritize what truly matters to you, instead of chasing approval at all costs. Adler once said, "The greatest courage is the courage to be imperfect." He believed the need to please is a trap that ties us to the desire to appear perfect in others' eyes. But no one can please everyone, and trying to do so denies your true self. Think about it. Who is freer? The person who tries to please everyone, even at the expense of their own values, or the one who lives in alignment with their convictions, even if it means facing criticism? The pursuit of approval is a form of emotional imprisonment. While the courage to displease sets us free, this doesn't mean being intentionally rude or selfish, but rather finding a balance between respecting others and staying true to yourself. The truth is, when you stop trying to please everyone, you'll realize that other people's opinions have far less power over you than you thought. More importantly, you'll discover that the respect earned by living your truth is far more valuable than forced approval. Living to please others disconnects us from something essential, ourselves. When our choices are constantly shaped by others' expectations, we stop asking what we truly want or who we really are. The impact of this disconnection on self-awareness is profound, but there's a silver lining. As we begin to free ourselves from external approval, we open the door to genuine personal growth. Carl Jung, in his studies of the psyche, emphasized the importance of integrating the shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress or deny, often out of fear of rejection. Confronting this shadow isn't easy, but it's essential for self-discovery. It's like unlocking a chest full of hidden treasures. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but each discovery is worth the effort. Consider someone who recognizes their fear of rejection and decides to face it. They might start saying no to invitations or tasks that don't interest them, even if it upsets others. At first, the discomfort will be inevitable, but over time, they'll feel more aligned with their true values and desires. It's this process of looking inward, rather than seeking answers outside, that reconnects us with our essence. When we stop living for external validation, we start identifying what truly matters to us. What are our values? What brings us joy? What do we want to achieve? These are simple questions, yet they often get lost in the noise of societal expectations. Reconnecting with this inner dialogue is the first step toward truly knowing yourself. In the end, Self-knowledge isn't just about knowing who we are, but also about accepting the parts of ourselves we've avoided confronting. This acceptance allows us to live authentically, not fearing disappointment from others, but feeling at peace, knowing we're being true to ourselves. When we let go of the constant need for validation, something remarkable happens. Our relationships begin to change. They become less about trying to please or impress, and more about authenticity and genuine connection. The emotional freedom we gain by breaking free from the need for approval transforms not only how we see ourselves, but also how we connect with others. Imagine a friendship where both people feel free to be their true selves without fear of judgment. In this type of relationship, there's no need for masks or pretenses. When you can share your thoughts, insecurities, and opinions honestly, without worrying about displeasing the other person, the friendship becomes deeper and more meaningful. It's the difference between a social contract, with unspoken and often stifling rules, and a true connection, built on mutual acceptance. As Adler emphasized, self-acceptance is the foundation of genuine relationships. If you can't accept who you are, you end up projecting that insecurity onto others, expecting them to fill the void with their approval. The problem with this dynamic is that it creates fragile relationships, based on need rather than a conscious choice to be together. Jung also reminds us that authentic relationships require a balance between the persona we show the world and who we truly are inside. The more aligned these two aspects become, the less we depend on external validation to sustain our bonds. After all, when you're true to yourself, you attract people who value that authenticity. Ask yourself, how many of your current relationships are based on the need for approval, and how many could transform if you simply let go of the constant worry about what others think? Healthier relationships begin when you realize you don't need to please anyone to deserve love, respect, and friendship. You just need to be yourself. We live in the age of social media, where external validation isn't just sought. It's encouraged. Likes, comments, and shares have become the new currency of approval, turning our profiles into carefully curated showcases designed to attract acceptance. But in losing ourselves to this cycle, a pressing question arises. Are we living for ourselves or to impress others? Imagine someone spending hours adjusting a photo before posting it. The lighting has to be perfect, the angle impeccable. Then comes the anxious wait for notifications. Who liked it? Who commented? Yet, even when the engagement meets expectations, the satisfaction is brief. Soon, the need to repeat the process arises, and so the cycle perpetuates itself. This isn't just exhausting, it's unsustainable. Modern behavioral psychology points out that these platforms are designed to be addictive. Each like or comment releases small doses of dopamine, which makes us come back for more. It's a system that conditions our brains to associate external validation with emotional well-being, even if it's superficial and fleeting. However, as Carl Jung argued, who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Seeking meaning in likes is like building a house on sand. The foundation isn't solid, and the emptiness remains. What if no one liked your post? Would it still be meaningful to you? This is a necessary reflection. True validation comes from knowing that what you do has value for you. Regardless of others' reactions, social media has the power to connect, but also to imprison. It's up to us to decide how to use these tools without becoming their captives. When we stop measuring our worth by online reactions, we rediscover what truly matters. We post because we have something to say, not because we expect a specific response. We live according to our values, not those of the algorithm. That's how we regain control over our digital presence, and more importantly, over our essence. What is success to you? This might seem like a simple question, but it actually carries centuries of cultural and societal expectations. For many, success means achieving status, wealth, or recognition. But do these definitions come from within? Or are they merely reflections of what society teaches us to value? Think of two people. One works tirelessly to climb the corporate ladder, accumulating material possessions and praise, but feels a constant emptiness. The other chooses a simple lifestyle, focused on family, friends, and personal passions, and finds satisfaction in small moments. Which one is truly successful? The answer, of course, depends on how each person defines success. But the problem arises when we follow an imposed definition, instead of the one that makes sense to us. Carl Jung offers a powerful perspective on this. For him, living in harmony with the inner self is more valuable than achieving any external recognition. True success, according to Jung, lies in aligning our choices with our deepest values and needs, rather than seeking approval or adhering to standards that don't resonate with our essence. It's difficult to redefine the meaning of success in a world that constantly pushes us in a specific direction. Social media, advertising, and even social circles often tell us what we should strive for to be considered successful. However, the real power lies in questioning these definitions and creating your own. Success isn't about how many people you impress, but about how aligned your life is with your values. Ask yourself, what makes you feel that your life has purpose and meaning? It could be something as simple as nurturing good relationships or contributing to something bigger than yourself. What matters is that this definition comes from you, not from external expectations. Being authentic is like taking a deep breath after years of holding it in. In a world where so many people live to please others, embracing who you truly are becomes not just a relief, but a transformative act. Authenticity allows us to live with ease, without the need to shape our actions and choices to fit other people's expectations. But why does this feel so challenging? Imagine someone who decides to open up and share their vulnerabilities, their fears, failures, and struggles. At first, this exposure might feel daunting. After all, what if others judge them? But by showing up genuinely, this person discovers something surprising. Their honesty doesn't push others away. It brings them closer. Deeper connections form, and they realize that being true to themselves attracts those who truly value who they are. No filters, no masks. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate what is important to us." Being authentic means communicating this essence. Even if not everyone understands it, authenticity doesn't demand perfection, but truth. And by being honest with ourselves, we create the space to live in greater alignment and inspire others to do the same. Of course, there is a price. Not everyone will accept who you truly are. But the freedom that comes from living without pretense outweighs every challenge. It's like trading a paved path for your own uncharted trail. Less predictable, but far more genuine. When you choose authenticity, life stops being about roles to play and becomes about the stories you write. More challenging, but infinitely more meaningful. So, ask yourself, what happens when you live your truth? This shift not only redefines your life, but also plants the seeds for others to do the same. Authenticity is contagious, and it's through this that it transforms the world around us. The pursuit of approval might seem like an inevitable path, but it doesn't have to be the only one throughout life, throughout. We're taught to believe that pleasing others is essential, but this pulls us away from what truly matters, living in alignment with our own values. When we let go of this need, we find that emotional freedom doesn't come from meeting others' expectations, but from acting in accordance with what is true for us. Have you ever stopped to think about what it means to live authentically? It's not about cutting all ties or disregarding opinions, but about creating a healthy relationship with them. It's about understanding that others' approval might be a byproduct, but should never be the goal. More than that, it's about allowing yourself to explore who you are, without the pressure of fitting into molds that don't reflect your true essence. Authenticity is transformative. When we live genuinely, we create room for deeper, more meaningful connections. Relationships that emerge from this place of honesty not only free us from the pressure to please, but also foster environments where others feel safe to be themselves. So, ask yourself, what choices would you make if no one were watching? What parts of yourself are still hidden out of fear of judgment? Looking inward is an ongoing process, but it's through this that we find purpose and meaning. Cutting the strings of social validation isn't about isolating yourself. It's about setting yourself free. And when that happens, the world starts to feel more open, more straightforward, more yours. Speaking of authenticity and real connections, I want to take this moment to open my heart and thank you for being here with me. With all my love, I want to express how grateful I am for reaching 2,000 subscribers. Every comment, like, and view carries a trust in my content that means so much to me. I deeply value the opportunity to share ideas and hear your opinions. I'm always striving to bring my best, fix mistakes, and grow with every suggestion and piece of feedback I receive. Thank you so much for this exchange, for being here, and for contributing your perspectives to the topics we discuss. What motivates me to keep going is knowing that this space is filled with engaged, curious people who are willing to reflect on what truly matters. You make this special, and I'm immensely grateful to every one of you who follows, shares, or interacts. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here.